This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. Good morning, I'm John Trout. It's Thursday, July 10th, 2025. Here's what's coming up on America in the Morning.
The devastation becoming more clear in Texas.
Camp Mystic currently still has missing 5 campers and 1 counselor.
I'm Clayton Neville.
Flash flooding in New Mexico takes the lives of 3 people. Julie Walker has that. President Biden's former doctor appears before a House committee. We'll have details.
Philadelphia has reached a deal with city workers to end an 8-day strike that closed libraries and halted residential trash pickup. I'm Jennifer King.
On Wall Street, there were several records set yesterday. We'll explain. I'm Jessica Ettinger.
The Trump administration has resumed sending some weapons to Ukraine. Mike Hemp in Washington.
Major League Baseball plans to use its robot umpire technology from Tuesday's All-Star Game at Atlanta. I'm Geffen Coolbaugh.
All ahead on America in the Morning. The death toll has risen to over 120 in last weekend's catastrophic flooding in Texas. Correspondent Clayton Neville says recovery will continue into another day as the number of people reported missing has topped 150.
Well over 150 people still missing as the death toll spans across 6 counties. Heroic stories continue to emerge from the flood, including those of first responders. Sergeant Jonathan Lamb with the Kerrville Police Department described the actions of one of the department's officers the night of the flood.
He was trapped on an island that was Hunt, Texas, and he saw people, dozens of people trapped on roofs. He saw people trapped in swift-moving water. He gave them encouragement over his public address system in his vehicle. He told them to be strong, that he would get to them as quickly as he could, and to hang on. And he knew he needed help.
Kerr County hit especially hard. Sheriff Larry Latha on the missing in his county.
On adults, there's 59, unidentified 14. Children, 36, unidentified 13. Camp Mystic currently still has missing 5 campers and 1 counselor.
The river rose 26 feet in 45 minutes. Scientists say the equation that led to the flooding was not typical.
There is none. It was not a storm. It was a tsunami. And in fact, it's a combination of drivers. It's not the storm itself. It's the steep terrain and the floodplain structure that led to this disaster.
University of Texas at Arlington civil engineer Dr. Adan Rajib said the geography of the region definitely played a factor.
Absolutely. The elevation difference in that area between riverbed to the highest point is as high as 1,500 feet. And also, there is abundance of limestone in hill country, which keeps the water from soaking into the ground. So no surprise why the July 4th flood was.
The blame game at the federal level surrounding cuts to the National Weather Service have been playing out for days. But locally, the finger pointing's happening too. The mayor of Kerrville, Joe Herring Jr., was asked why he was not at a meeting the day of the floods to talk about a possible Code Red scenario. He said he wasn't invited.
I wasn't in office during those discussions. And frankly, I'm more focused on the future than the past, as you know. What I can say is the governor, the lieutenant governor, the speaker of the Texas House have all provided us support, and they have all said this is a priority for the upcoming special legislative session.
That special session slated to start in a couple weeks, and the focus seemingly will be around outdoor warning sirens along the Guadalupe River. In Texas, I'm Clayton Neville.
In neighboring New Mexico, a different storm sent historic flash flooding through a mountain village. The water's strong enough to carry a house down the stream that became a raging torrent. Correspondent Julie Walker reports so far 3 people have been killed.
Oh, no. Caitlin Carpenter watches as monsoon rains in southern New Mexico trigger flash flooding, washing away a house. Also, a 4-year-old girl, a 7-year-old boy, and an adult male died when they were swept away.
The outdoor warning system was not activated yesterday, as it is specifically reserved for full town evacuation scenarios. We had a lot of questions on that. The localized nature of yesterday's flooding did not warrant the full town evacuation.
Ruidoso Mayor Lynn Crawford.
It hit hard, it hit fast.
We did breach all of our bridges. We did lose some more homes.
He says the river gauge rose more than 20 feet and there were at least 85 swift water rescues.
This is historic water levels that we experienced. The USGS, the United States Geological Survey gauge at Hollywood in the Rio Ruidoso crested at a historical high of 20 feet. Last year during the historic flood, it was over 15 feet. So we're 5 feet over last year. It's hard to imagine the power of water. And I know you've seen it here before. People have seen what's happened in central Texas.
New Mexico flash floods Tuesday coming after the same weather killed over 100 people in Texas. Audio courtesy KOAT. I'm Julie Walker.
Congress seeks answers from President Biden's former doctor when America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues, and we begin on the East Coast with today's national forecast. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
This week has brought a persistent and rather pesky pattern with widespread precipitation, some heavy with severe thunderstorms at times, focused on the Northeast and especially the Mid-Atlantic. Today brings more of the same, and with yet another front stalling out in this general area over the coming days, the risk for localized downpours will remain high from New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania through southern New England into at least the end of the work week. However, the zone from the Carolinas through the Delmarva Peninsula will continue to have more plentiful showers and thunderstorms, and those storms may be severe within that very zone this afternoon and evening with strong winds. Another area where storms may be severe later today with gusty wind and hail will stretch from around Albany, New York through western New Hampshire and northern New York State. The third and potentially most prolific severe weather zone will extend from the Texas and especially Oklahoma panhandle, north and east through central Iowa, the Dakotas, and far eastern Wyoming, where storms will pose the risk for powerful wind gusts, hail, downpours intense enough to cause flooding, and tornadoes from this afternoon through tonight. Additional storms may form at any time today from western New York through Tennessee, and especially during this afternoon over New Mexico, Illinois, Indiana, and the southeast. The zone with an elevated risk for fires will again cover quite a bit of the western U.S., although the risk may not be quite as high in all areas as it was on Wednesday, as a cold front starts to push into the high plains and northern Rockies through the day to knock back some of the heat of recent days. This will push the highest fire risks toward the southwestern states rather than the Pacific Northwest. In Denver, today won't be quite as hot as yesterday with some sun to start, then an afternoon thunderstorm, the high 93. For Bangor, Maine, expect clouds and a high of 73. That's the nation's weather. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Simply search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. The former doctor of President Biden appeared on Capitol Hill, but refused to answer questions about Biden's competency. More on what wasn't said from Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani.
President Biden's former White House doctor is refusing to answer questions in a House GOP probe of Biden's mental fitness and health while in office. His lawyers say Dr. Kevin O'Connor asserted both physician-patient privilege and the Fifth Amendment in not answering questions from House Oversight Committee members.
There will be one staff counsel per side asking the questions during each round. To the extent members have questions for the witness, they will be propounded during their side's respective rounds. Do you understand?
On the advice of counsel, I must respectfully decline to answer based on the physician-patient privilege and reliance on my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution. I am not a lawyer, and I must follow my lawyer's advice in this matter.
Panel Republicans are conducting a sweeping investigation into Biden's actions while in the White House, including whether his use of an auto pen may have been invalid. The ex-president has strongly denied he was not in a right state of mind at any point while serving, saying those allegations are ridiculous and false. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
The workers' strike that had trash piling up as much as 10 feet high on the streets of Philadelphia is now over. Correspondent Jennifer King reports. Audio courtesy WPVI TV6 ABC Philadelphia.
Philadelphia has reached a deal with city workers to end an 8-day strike that closed libraries and halted residential trash pickup.
Workers will be back to work as soon as they can get there. The strike has ended, so Workers are to be expected to work tomorrow, or this morning, I guess we could say.
Mayor Sherelle Parker and Municipal Union District Council 33 posted the strike is over on social media. The mayor wrote that the tentative deal, which must be ratified by union members, will gradually increase workers' pay by 14% by the end of the next 3 years. City worker Lashika Presley.
Every one of us love what we do, so we want to get back to work.
Philadelphia resident Rich Henkels says neighbors were steaming mad as the trash piled up in the July sun, with some organizing to have the trash privately hauled away.
I mean, bottom line is nobody wants trash sitting on their front stoop.
I'm Jennifer King.
The first company ever to be valued at $4 trillion. That's when America in the Morning continues after these messages. Happy days on Wall Street. CNBC's Jessica Ettinger checks in.
Wall Street opens this morning after a winning and record-setting day for stocks yesterday. The NASDAQ hit a fresh record high, and NVIDIA became the first $4 trillion company ever.
We got the NVIDIA record market cap.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, who is the leader of nicest guy on earth? Jensen Huang. I know that there's a tenor, especially in New York City, about rich people and how they conduct themselves. This man's made more millionaires than anyone in America. And he just is so grateful that people made money with NVIDIA.
That's CNBC Mad Money host Jim Cramer and Carl Quintanilla. Bitcoin hit a new record high yesterday, more than $112,000. President Trump rattling some investors for a short time after releasing new tariff letters with new reciprocal tariff rates, but many of those rates weren't changed.
About 21 countries have now received those letters, and the president said that more countries, including Brazil, could get letters. The Philippines, Iraq, Sri Lanka, all of these countries facing tariff rates between 20 and 30%, roughly on par with what the president first threatened to impose back in April. So the news here really is the date for them to take effect has just been moved now to August 1st. The other thing to flag, none of these countries export much of anything to the U.S.
CNBC's Megan Casella. Amazon reportedly had a slow start for its Prime Day sale, but Adobe says Tuesday, which was day one, was the biggest online sales day of the year so far across all retailers, including Walmart and Target and others running competing sales. Turns out Amazon is selling more of its own goods than items from third parties because it can eat more of the tariff cost.
Amazon can take a much bigger hit. They can ride it out a little bit while longer. They can work on much smaller margins because Amazon's bulk of their cash doesn't specifically come from sales, right? You've got Amazon Web Services, so they can hedge it, they can offset the price, and they can take a bigger hit than sort of a Joe mom and pop who has a small third-party reseller store.
United Nations Consumer Suppliers CEO Brett Rose on CNBC. Gamblers won't be able to deduct all of their losses anymore on their income taxes. The deduction is currently 100%, but under the new spending bill that President Trump signed into law, that deduction for losses goes down to 90%. And that 10% they won't be able to deduct could turn into an extra $1 billion over the next 10 years for the government, according to the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office. McDonald's adding a more affordable meal option to menus nationwide today. Snack wraps are back. On today's watch list, earnings are coming from Delta Airlines, Slim Jim and Duncan Hines parent ConAgra, and Levi Strauss. We also find out how many people applied for unemployment benefits last week.
All right, CNBC's Jessica Ettinger. AI robots check in to Major League Sports when America in the Morning continues after these messages. This is America in the Morning. On the same day Kyiv was hit by a massive Russian drone and missile attack, there are reports that the U.S. again is sending weapons to Ukraine. Correspondent Mike Hempen reports.
Sources tell the AP the Trump administration has resumed sending some weapons to Ukraine, a week after the Pentagon directed that some deliveries be paused. Officials speaking anonymously say some of the weapons moving into Ukraine include munitions and precision-guided rockets. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth directed the pause last week to allow the Pentagon to assess its weapons stockpiles. On Monday, President Trump spoke in favor of reversing that decision.
We want to put defensive weapons because Putin is not treating human beings right. He's killing too many people.
The Pentagon denies Hegseth acted without consulting Trump. Mike Hempen, Washington.
Normally, it's up to the umpires at a baseball game to call balls and strikes against a batter, but technology is showing what many fans already know. Those umps aren't always right. Robot umpires are set to make their in-season debut on one of baseball's biggest stages, the Major League All-Star Game. Correspondent Gethin Coolball reports.
Major League Baseball plans to use its robot umpire technology for ball strike challenges in Tuesday's All-Star Game at Atlanta, another step toward possible regular season use next season. Teams won 52.2% of their ball strike challenges during the spring training test, with 617 of 1,182 challenges successful in the 288 exhibition games using the automated ball strike system. An animation of the pitch was shown on video board showing spectators the challenge results. I'm Gethin Coolbach.
America in the Morning for Thursday, July 10th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One. This is America in the Morning from Westwood One. I'm John Trout. Coming up this half hour.
Tensions are high as the death toll climbs in Texas. I'm Clayton Neville.
The former heads of the FBI and CIA are the targets of new government investigations. I'm Rich Johnson.
President Trump meets with the leaders of West African nations, and the Trump administration sues California. We'll tell you why.
President Donald Trump has singled out Brazil for import taxes of 50%. I'm Hayat Panjwani.
OpenAI's new browser said to be a Chrome buster. I'm tech correspondent Chuck Palm.
There's now a Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes. I'm Julie Walker.
The Big Bang Theory is getting another spin-off. I'm Kevin Carr.
Back after these messages. This is America in the Morning. Another day of potentially flash flooding this Thursday. Here's AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Several areas with the risk for severe thunderstorms will emerge this afternoon and into tonight as a rather active week of weather continues. Working from west to east, the plains will once again be a hotspot for vigorous storms as a cold front plows into an increasingly moist air mass fueled by southerly winds. Those gusty winds will mean another day of warmth as well, with widespread highs in the 80s and 90s supporting thunderstorms developing from the Dakotas and western Minnesota southward through Kansas, areas east of I-25 from Wyoming to northeastern New Mexico, even the Oklahoma Panhandle and western Iowa. AccuWeather severe weather experts caution that these storms may bring flooding, hail, destructive winds of at least 70 to 80 miles per hour, and some tornadoes. Into the coastal southeast and mid-Atlantic, a separate area of energy will be enough to produce storms from eastern Georgia through the Carolinas, much of Virginia, and far southern New Jersey that can produce intense downpours and wind gusts of 60 to 70 miles per hour. The third area with severe risk will actually be in northern New York, Vermont, and western New Hampshire, where the core of a storm tracking in Canada from Ontario to Quebec will spark the risk for 50 to 60 mile per hour winds and even some hail. Between these severe weather zones, there may also be some thunderstorms from Illinois into the Ohio and Tennessee River valleys, just about all of the rest of the southeast, and from eastern Pennsylvania through the Hudson Valley and straight across southern New England. In the western states, cooler conditions arrive for some in the northwest as the heat is squashed toward interior California and the southwest, but the fire risk remains high away from the coast, from northern California to Washington and eastward to central Montana and western Colorado. That's the weather across America. I'm AccuWeather.com meteorologist LaTroy Thornton.
Follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Listen on your favorite platform when you search America in the Morning in your favorite listening app. In Texas, The death toll continues to rise with at least 120 dead and the number of people still unaccounted for surpassing 150. This as the finger-pointing surrounding catastrophic flooding in the Lone Star State is happening both at the federal and local level. Correspondent Clayton Neville.
With the death toll in Central Texas climbing well into the hundreds and more than 150 people still missing, the tensions are high.
Listen, people are yelling, and I didn't really want y'all to.
If you offer only 3 questions, then you're going to have to.
Guess what? You're in Kerrville, and we're going to do it my way.
Kerrville Mayor Joe Herring Jr. stern with reporters during a press conference as he was asked questions.
I'm married to a retired first-grade teacher, and I learned a little bit about classroom management from her. If you yell questions at us, we're probably going to pick someone else to answer, okay? So if you feel the need to yell your questions, I will feel the need to not answer your question. In first grade, they raise their hands. That might be a good start.
He went on to call the previous press conference he held a disaster.
And I was embarrassed. Our town was embarrassed. Your viewers were embarrassed. And I don't want that to happen again. Now, I'm going to do something I've been told to do. I'm going to turn it back to Jonathan Lamb to start the question and answer period. However, please make my retired first grade teacher wife proud and raise your hands.
The finger pointing surrounds the alerts and warnings ahead of the storm. They were given, but a lot of them not received because of lack of cell service in the region or because people weren't near their phones or a TV or radio. Sheriff Larry Latha said questions about how the tragedy could have been avoided will have to come after the rescue efforts end.
With every emergency, you know what, we're going to have to, there's going to be an after action. Please, y'all, listen to those words, after action, okay?
There was a reported conversation between county and city leaders about a potential code red being issued the day of the floods, but the mayor said he wasn't part of those conversations.
And frankly, I'm more focused on the future than the past, as you know.
The Texas legislature slated to meet in less than 2 weeks for a special session to tackle what happened in the Hill Country and how to stop it from happening again. In Texas, I'm Clayton Neville.
The Trump administration continues its criminal probe into investigations of former leaders of the CIA and FBI. Correspondent Rich Johnson reports.
The probes by the FBI target former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey and are linked to both men's conduct during the 2016 investigations of alleged Russian interference into the U.S. presidential election. Exactly what that means is not clear, even to President Trump.
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people.
The Justice Department, the FBI, and a lawyer for Comey all refused comment. Not so John Brennan.
This is, unfortunately, a very sad and tragic example of the continued politicization of the intelligence community.
Brennan, who is a paid contributor to MSNBC, appeared there Wednesday and made his feelings known.
I'm really shocked that, individuals who are willing to sacrifice their reputations, their credibility, their decency to continue to do Donald Trump's bidding on something that clearly is just politically based.
George Washington University law professor Jonathan Turley suspects it's about both men's statements to Congress over the Russia probe.
At points, they both seem to adopt the Sergeant Schultz approach of, I knew nothing. If only I knew, I would have done something. That didn't strike many as being very credible. Both of these tend to be somewhat of micromanagers. They take pride in the fact that they follow the details of their departments.
Turley referring to a character on the 1960s TV comedy Hogan's Heroes. His comment is courtesy of Fox News, which broke the story Tuesday night. What's behind the Comey investigation is not yet clear. In 2020, before the Senate Judiciary Committee, he defended the 2016 FBI investigation.
It was done by the book, it was appropriate, and it was essential that it be done.
So you're proud of it?
Overall, I'm proud of the work.
I'm Rich Johnson.
President Trump has promised West African leaders who came to the White House a pivot to trade as the region is dealing with sweeping U.S. AID cuts. Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports.
President Trump is promising 5 West African nations a U.S. pivot as the region reels from sweeping American aid cuts.
There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together.
The president says Africa has great economic potential.
And we're shifting from AID to trade.
There was little talk during the session open to reporters about the outsized impact dissolving U.S. aid will have on West Africa. Instead, the president talked about Gabon, Liberia, Mauritania, Senegal, and Guinea-Bissau as very vibrant places with untapped natural resources.
And wonderful people.
A sharp shift from using a vulgar term to describe African nations in his first term. The 5 leaders lavished praise on him for global peace efforts.
We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region.
The president, in turn, tried to praise Liberia's Joseph Boakai.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well.
English is Liberia's official language. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Among the stories we're covering next, California sued over transgender athlete policies. When America in the Morning returns after these messages. The Supreme Court has rejected Florida's emergency bid to let it enforce a controversial immigration law that would ban illegal immigrants from entering the state, leaving in place a lower court's pause on enforcing the measure. The justices did not explain their ruling. At issue was Florida's Senate Bill 4C, which would make it a crime for undocumented migrants to enter the state if they had been previously deported or previously denied entry into the U.S., even if they had since gained lawful status in the country. At least 6 other states, including Texas, have tried to pass similar legislation. Well, the Trump administration is suing California over the Golden State's transgender athletes policies. Correspondent Gethin Coolbaugh is following that story.
President Donald Trump's administration has sued the California Department of Education for allowing transgender girls to compete on girls' sports teams. The lawsuit filed Wednesday says California's transgender athlete policy violates Title IX. The move escalates an ongoing battle between Trump's Republican administration and Democratic-led California over trans athletes competing in girls' and women's sports. Trump criticized the participation of a transgender high school student athlete who won titles in the California Track and Field Championships last month. I'm Gethin Coolbaugh.
President Trump has sent out letters to 7 more nations dictating new U.S. tariff rates unless deals are made, including to the Philippines and Sri Lanka. As correspondent Haya Panjwani reports, this comes as the president is targeting Brazil with steep tariffs, citing what he's calling a witch hunt trial against its former president and Donald Trump ally.
President Donald Trump has singled out Brazil for import taxes of 50%. That's for the country's treatment of its former president, Jair Bolsonaro. It shows that personal grudges, rather than simple economics, were driving the U.S. leaders' use of import taxes. During a White House meeting with African leaders, though, Trump talked up trade as a diplomatic tool for him to settle disputes.
You guys going to fight? We're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that.
Trump avoided his standard form letter with Brazil, specifically tying his tariffs to the trial of Bolsonaro, who's charged with trying to overturn his 2022 election loss. Trump has described Bolsonaro as a friend and hosted the former Brazilian president at his Mar-a-Lago resort when both were in power in 2020. I'm Haya Panjwani.
Wall Street has a new most valuable company, and it's not Amazon or Apple. Correspondent Seth Sudhel reports on an artificial intelligence chip maker's now $4 trillion record valuation.
NVIDIA has become the world's first $4 trillion company. Seemingly endless demand for the AI chips that NVIDIA designs has sent the company's market value up to $4 trillion. That makes NVIDIA more valuable than any of its big tech rivals. Microsoft and Apple are worth more than $3 trillion each. Much of the growth for NVIDIA has come over the past 2.5 years. More companies are investing heavily in building out their AI capabilities, and they're buying more and more of NVIDIA's chips to run them. The latest milestone in NVIDIA's growth came just 2 years after it surpassed the $1 trillion valuation mark. Hefty gains in NVIDIA and other big tech stocks have been a major driver behind the stock market's latest push to record highs. Seth Sutel, New York.
OpenAI, the parent of ChatGPT, is releasing its new web browser interface with AI built right in, taking aim at Google Chrome's web advertising market dominance. Chuck Palm with more on the story in today's Tech Report.
OpenAI, parent company for ChatGPT, is gearing up to launch an AI-powered web browser. This is meant to be a Chrome buster directly attacking Google in its search matrix. The new browser, built on the open-source Chromium code, promises to shake up how we surf the web. Unlike Chrome, which holds a whopping 67% market share, OpenAI's browser will integrate AI agents like Operator, will be able to handle tasks like booking flights, filling forms, or analyzing data right inside a ChatGPT-style native web interface. This is a bold move to grab the user data that Google has built a $200 billion ad business on, as Chrome funnels the search traffic and the user info to fuel targeted ads. But OpenAI is sharing the spotlight with Perplexity's new Comet browser, which launched the same day. Bitcoin broke the $112,000 mark yesterday as Ethereum rose to $2,749. For more tech news, find me at chuckpalm.com.
Robert Workman is in with sports on America in the Morning.
Baseball on Wednesday, the White Sox shaded the Blue Jays 2-1. That ends Toronto's 10-game winning streak. Reds ripped the Marlins 7-2. That snaps Miami's 11-game road winning streak. Brewers scored in the bottom of the 9th and the 10th to edge the Dodgers 3-2. LA's 6th loss in a row for Dave Roberts' guys.
Obviously, today was frustrating to lose, but I thought the way we competed, I like that. I thought Miggy Rowe is playing his tail off.
They still hold the best record in the National League, though. Phillies flattened the Giants 13-0. Bryce Harper had 3 doubles and a dinger. That's 4 of the 17 hits they had on the day. Angels outslugged the Rangers 11-8. Red Sox ripped the Rockies 10-2. Yankees sank the Mariners 9-6. Braves over the A's 9-2. Diamondbacks down the Padres 8-2. Nationals handed the Cardinals an 8-2 loss. Rays over the Tigers 7-3. Royals got by the Pirates 4-2. Guardians nipped the Astros 4-2. And the Twins doubled up the Cubs 4-2. Mets and Orioles rained out. They'll play 2 today. At Wimbledon, top seed Jannik Sinner blew by American Ben Shelton in straight sets to make the semifinals, where he will face Novak Djokovic, a 4-set winner, to advance to the Final Four at Wimbledon for a record 14th time. Women's side, 5-time major winner Iga Swiatek makes the semis. She's still looking for her first crown at the All England Club. She'll meet Belinda Bencic, who this time last year had just welcomed her first child. And Devin Booker and the Suns have agreed on a 2-year max extension worth $145 million. The NBA record $72.5 million average annual value, about $1 million more a year than the old high set by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and the Thunder way back last week. That's Thursday Sports.
And there's your look at sports. This is not your mother's Barbie doll. When America in the Morning continues after these messages. America in the Morning continues. The Barbie doll has type 1 diabetes. Correspondent Julie Walker reports on the rollout of Mattel's new Barbie, outfitted with medical devices.
There's now a Barbie doll with type 1 diabetes, and one of the advocates celebrating its release is model Lila Moss, who also has type 1 diabetes.
So amazing that there's now a new type 1 diabetes mainline Barbie doll that people can buy and feel reflected by, and children can play with.
Mattel also making a one-of-a-kind Barbie in the likeness of Moss, and if her name sounds familiar, she's the daughter of supermodel Kate Moss.
Very exciting. Seeing my own Barbie in real life was surreal, with all my features and my little patches.
Both dolls have a continuous glucose monitor on the arm, and Barbie comes with an insulin pump on her waist.
I get so many messages every day about how I've helped someone be less insecure or help them be more proud of their diabetes patches. And so to be able to represent the community in this way is very exciting and special.
I'm Julie Walker.
Haven't had enough of the Big Bang Theory or its spin-offs? Then you're in luck. Kevin Carr reports more Big Bang is coming.
Fans of The Big Bang Theory, the show, not the scientific concept, should be excited by a recent announcement.
All started with a Big Bang.
On Wednesday, minutes after officially rebranding its streaming channel back to HBO Max, Warner Brothers announced a series order for a new Big Bang Theory spin-off, Stuart Fails to Save the Universe. The new series will follow comic book shop owner Stuart Bloom, played by Kevin Sussman.
Oh, hey, Stuart, this is Penny. She's just looking for some comic books. Oh, really? Wow. Blink twice if you're here against your will.
The series will also star Brian Posehn, John Ross Bowie, and Lauren Lapkus as Stuart's girlfriend, Denise.
Well, that's great, because I want to move in with you more than the thing wants to clobber.
After breaking a device made by Sheldon and Leonard, Stuart accidentally creates a multiverse Armageddon. This new spinoff departs from the traditional sitcom and introduces sci-fi elements. This is the third spinoff of The Big Bang Theory after young Sheldon ran for 7 seasons.
You understand that some people are going to be intimidated by you because of how smart you are?
Or maybe they'll recognize my intellect and make me their leader.
And just last year, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage launched on CBS.
I'm not handling any money. I just take bets for Irwindale's home.
That's still illegal. What are you thinking? You're a mom.
The series will employ extensive visual effects and expect cameos from other Big Bang Theory characters, likely from different realities. I'm Kevin Carr.
On this date in 1890, Wyoming becomes the 44th state. America in the Morning for Thursday, July 10th, 2025 is produced by Jeff McKay. I'm John Trout. This is Westwood One.